Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Weekend Winners in association with Bet Victor, your go-to show for your best bets ahead of the weekend. And we are on to our 30th episode now, so thank you so much to all of you for watching and for getting us this far. Hopefully we will find you some more winners on this week's show as we look ahead to the final day of York's Ebor Festival, where we look at we preview the feature race itself with the Ebor as well as the City of York Stakes, and at Windsor we will be looking ahead to the Winter Hill Stakes as well as the August. And I will be looking at all of these races in my usual company of Declan Ricks and Sam Boswell. Dec, very well done. Mostadaf, great show. That was a few weeks ago as well.
Yeah, I think we did an anti-post preview about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Yeah, the race cut up very badly. Yeah, it was a good... I don't think the race kind of turned out how we wanted it to be because of a brilliant Frankie ride. I wouldn't say he stole it from the front, but, you know, we didn't they weren't knocking heads off each other 2 hours with that Titanic tussle. But it was just nice to see him show that run in the Prince of Wales Stakes wasn't a fluke, and, you know, he's just a genuine top-class horse now. So I'm good down Nashwa second as well. How good is she when she gets some pace to run at? So, yeah, it was a very good performance. So, yeah, thankfully a winner given last week's show didn't go too well. But
we weren't mentioning that. We were just skirting over that and giving you the credit for the anti-post selection there. But Sam, you didn't actually manage to make it up to York this week. Kind of a rarity for you not to be going to one of these meetings, but you must be quite refreshed for that.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed. Paddington obviously couldn't continue his fantastic form, but I don't think he actually lost as much as maybe we'd all feel like he did. And, you know, we need good horses running against each other to make a race, and I think it's very admirable. Punters had it a bit difficult so far at York. Obviously, Gregory getting beaten as well. That was a very popular double on the day. But like I say, looking forward to getting stuck into the weekend's action and hopefully can find a winner or two on our 30th show.
Yes, on our 30th show then. But before we do get stuck into the action, a reminder, as ever, to please do gamble responsibly. Our tips are not guaranteed to win, but we will still do our best to point you in the right direction anyway. And also a reminder to like and subscribe to the At The Races YouTube channel so you never miss an episode. Now, before we get cracking on the York action, we're going to be looking at Windsor first and foremost. And we begin with the listed August Stakes for the 3-year-olds and over a mile 3 at 6:20. Dec, would you like to kick us off, please?
yeah, we haven't got prices yet, but I think it looks like maybe Lion's Pride is maybe going to go off favourite. I would have that the other way around. I would have Dover Legend favourite, to be honest. I do like Lion's Pride. He's been very good. He was very good the last day at Kempton, but he's had 2 all-weather runs in 2 slowly run races. You know, now he's going up against older horses as well, much more experienced horses. In a race, I'm hoping that will be run at a stronger gallop with the likes of Solid Stone and Outbox in there. And that kind of gallop, although not guaranteed, I think it'll definitely suit Dover Legend. He's always looked a horse to me who thrives off a good even pace. Look, we need to forgive him the King George run. He was awful, but again, for the second year running the King George, just being a strange race in parts. Emily Upjohn didn't run a race. A Goose Road didn't run his race. He obviously didn't run his race either. So look, in his 10-race career, that was the first truly bad run he's ever had. So we can forgive him that. Well, I can anyway. You know, we shouldn't forget he ran very well in the Hardwick despite being a significant drifter in the market. I don't think much was expected of him. He was also kind of hampered down the straight. He didn't get out, and he needed room, and then he ran on. Look, a return to that level just makes him the horse to beat here. He's won at Windsor before. I think both on pedigree and physically, he looked like a horse who'd be even better again this season. So, you know, he's actually a full brother to Sela Rossa, who was a Group 1 winner for the William Haggis Yard. Physically, plenty of leg to him, you know, quite a sizable horse as well. I think there's a lot more to come, and he's got form here at Windsor. So with first-time cheek pieces hopefully sparking him back to life, I think he's a decent bet because I'd have him favoured over the 3-year-old.
Yeah, and it was interesting, like you say. Well, we're just getting a slight feel of the markets now. Like you say, we haven't got prices just yet, though, but the overnight support then since declarations for Lion's Pride has been interesting. But it's Dover Legend for Dec. Sam, I get the feeling you're thinking along similar lines.
Just checking my notes. Declan's left absolutely nothing for me to say apart from
no more meat on the bones.
You know, I would say that Hardwick run, you know, free wind obviously earlier in the week, just touched off up at York. The form of that I think looks really fair. You go back to the Melbourne Cup effort. That's a mighty, you know, that race can leave its mark on horses as well. And I think the Hardwick run suggested everything was okay. I know last time out was a shade disappointing, I think it's fair to say, but in reality, this is a much easier contest to be looking at. Clear on ratings from anything that's got one. The horse that we've mentioned, obviously the Gosden horse, I would have a bit of a concern, and I don't know whether you'd share this deck, but a horse first time on turf, in what looks a fair race, I don't know. It just puts me a little bit uneasy. It's just an unknown.
Something different, isn't it?
Something different, which I think against an older horse that's got that experience, battle hardened as well. Deauville Legend for me. I've not got much more to add because Deck's done such a great job explaining why he should be favourite.
Well, what am I going to be left with then? Because I'm also with him. And Sam, you said the reminder actually before we started recording that only twice have all three of us agreed with a horse. We've got a 50% strike rate. Lethal Levi, we can chuck that out. But we've got a 50% strike rate when all three of us agree, and I'm with Deauville Legend as well, where I hope that he goes off second favourite because I know this, the unexposed profiles people just seem to gravitate towards. But when you've got a horse that is so far clear then in terms of the form that he's got to his name with Deauville Legend, the ratings as well. I mean, he won a great Voltager. He finished 4th in a Melbourne Cup. And on that occasion, the soft ground was against him there. He just got outstayed to the line. All of that form from last season in that hugely progressive campaign, in comparison to just this contest in the listed race at Windsor, should be just far superior to anything else in the race. So he ticks so many boxes for me. As you say, Deck, he's 4th in the Hardwick, solid.
That's one thing we did leave out.
Go on.
Kate's mentioned the soft ground. The ground is probably too soft for him in the King George.
Yeah.
Lovely, fluent, moving son of See the Stars. Thankfully Kate's here to pick us up.
Finally, I managed to get one little nugget in there of originality anyway with this preview. But yeah, I think we've all covered the different bases then of Deauville Legend to be siding with him, and hopefully we'll get a nice price and pretty quick round for him as well. So the three of us then are with Deauville Legend, all in agreement to kickstart our previews. Do let us know your own selections for the race in the comment section below as we move on to Windsor's next race, and this is the Group 3 Winter Hill Stakes for the 3-year-olds and over a mile two at 6:50. The following race at Windsor, interesting little race this. Formerly a big Derby fancy in here, Passenger makes his return to action. But Sam, what's the play?
I want to take Passenger on. I think this is for me the tale of two yards at the moment. So Michael Stout, at time of recording, their yard haven't had a winner for like 30 days from a smallish sample size, but clearly you've got Nostrum running earlier in the day on Saturday, so maybe that'll change that stat and I'll look really silly and he'll pick up a couple of winners across various cards. But for me, I would be concerned by that. I think obviously it's interesting to see how we expect Passenger to go, but he's likely to be the favourite here. And I actually just thought State Occasion was a really intriguing runner for a yard that are having a fantastic season. Rafe Beckett can seemingly do no wrong at the moment. And this horse is going to be my selection. I think will go off favourite. The Salisbury run, the listed race he won last time out, I think the manner of that suggests definitely up to slightly better than even the standard I think they're going to be seen here. And, you know, ever since that York win last season, the trainers just suggested that it took a while to get the horse back to where he wanted the horse to be. I think the run at Salisbury suggested the horse is there. Ground is key as well. He mentioned in his comments he really wants a quick surface, which is why we haven't seen so much of the horse this season. Hopefully now they're going to get a couple of months where, fingers crossed, September stays dry. They've got the option of going abroad as well, but I think we'll see this horse win at Windsor on Saturday evening.
OK, State Occasion it is then for Sam. Deck, you couldn't possibly be in agreement with Sam again, could you?
Yes, I am. I would say, though, she's kind of the solid pick in the race, because I think on paper this looks potentially very trappy. You've got West Wind Blows, who's got to carry a penalty. I think he's having his first start back in, is it 49 days? Passenger is returning off an 84-day break as well. So you're just wondering, maybe, are these going to be races that potentially set them up for something later in the season? But on the other hand, State Occasion comes in here in rude health. Like, she won the Upavon Stakes there, was it last weekend or the weekend before? And she just looked a filly who was in great order. The other thing with this race, I think that will really suit her. There looks to be a good bit of pace on here. West Wind Blows, Foxtail, Youthful King and Burdett road. They've all gone forward before, and I think she's a really high cruising filly with a fast ground action. So those two things she needs, I think she's going to get: fast ground and a strong pace to run it. And look, she comes here in good order. Look, don't get me wrong, I do think she needs to step up in what she did the last day, because I thought Ross O'Ryan gave her a good ride the way the race panned out. They went quite hard in the opening couple of furlongs, and then it steadied up, and I think she was in the right position. But she just looked like a filly who was at the top of her game, and that wasn't a fluke. We shouldn't forget how good she was at York last season. So she has got this in her locker. She's going to get the sex allowance from two boys that are returning off breaks, and one of them's carrying a penalty. So yeah, a bit of a trappy race, but I thought State Occasion was very, very solid.
I'm looking forward to when you two just start going in your opposite directions on this preview, because it has been a bit too chummy so far. So I'm going to just draw a line straight through between the pair of you two, side with a different horse there, similar to our preview in our last race at Windsor, where I'm hoping I'm going to go for what I perceive to be the more solid class angle then of this race, and that is with West Wind Blows, who, as you say, is going to be on the front end of a pace, most likely is going to have a bit of a pace battle on his hand. But that's really the only thing I'm concerned about. Or again, his form from this season for me is still superior anyway. And he is a proven group performer, and he is giving weight all round, but of course he is. He's a 4-year-old. He's been ever so consistent. He's improved from the gelding operation as well in his subsequent 3 starts, winning a Group 3 at Longchamp comfortably before a second behind the course and distance loving pile driver in the Hardwick. Easily, for me, the best piece of form in the race. Hopefully that form will get a boost from Deauville Legend in the race previously as well. He finished 4th in that, ahead of Thursday's Gallant Yorkshire Oak second, Free Wind in 5th. And last time out, to get involved for as long as he managed to do in the Eclipse against Paddington and against Emily Upjohn, yes, he was well enough beat in the end, no match for them, but we talked about that race previously and how great it looked at the time. I thought that was a cracking effort, and he is more than capable of winning a Group 3. So West Wind Blows for me. Sam?
State Occasion.
And Deck?
State Occasion for me.
Right, again, do let us know your own selections for that race in the comments section below, as we now turn our attentions up to York, where we will begin with the Group 2 City of York Stakes for the 3-year-olds and over 7 furlongs at 3 o'clock. Hopefully in the next few years this will get the Group 1 status that York are really hoping for. I think the race deserves it. Got a few really big 7 furlong fans on the show, well, Deck and I at least anyway.
As someone who's completely biased to Sky Sports Racing, I would like the race at Doncaster to be the Group 1 in this country. So I'm just going to throw that in there.
Of course, we will be advocating for that. Flying the flag, always on point, very well done. But far more importantly, though, who wins the City of York, Deck?
Yeah, and not only is it a good race, but I think it's going to be a proper race as well. I see an awful lot of speed in here. You know, Isaac Shelby likes to get on with it. Muta Sabic likes to go forward as well, along with the likes of Audience, Pogo and Covey. So I'm really looking forward to this. It's going to be a cracker. Look, I just thought Kinross was a little bit short in the betting. That was the only reason for taking him on. He's one of the most likeable horses in training, so consistent, different ground, different trip, different tracks. But like I say, you've got a good few running in here for you, and I just thought Muta Sabic was overpriced. Now, the key to this fella for me is freshness. I think he's got a really, really good record fresh. In each of the last 4 seasons where he started his campaign, he's won. So I think a little bit like the case we made for Mostadaf in the Judmont, you know, in the same colours, I think freshness and fast ground are the key to him. The other thing as well with Muta Sabic, I've always felt maybe a mile slightly stretches him a little bit. So this is going to be his first run over 7 in a long time. But with all the pace on, it's not really a worry. So he's going to have a good pace to run at. Ryan Moore takes the ride for Jim Crowley, which is good. You know, a lot of people will say a little bit like Mostadaf as well. You know, last time out, or when he won the Bet36 mile at Newmarket at the start of the season, you know, he only beat Native Trail. Fair enough, but like he beat him stiff with a penalty as well. He's really good fresh. You know, we shouldn't forget this horse, I think, has gone off 6-1 for a 2,000 guineas, 4-1 for a Lockinge. You know, he's by Invincible Spirit, he's out at Gennady. There's an awful lot to like. He's got a great profile. Charlie Hills and the team had a winner earlier on in the week, so I just thought he was a very good value bet against a horse like Kinross. But I'm going to play 2 bets in this race. I'm going to back Muta Sabek, and then I'm also going to back Muta Sabek without Kinross. I think that's a very good bet as well.
Yeah, I was going to say extra ways to play the race then as well with, as you say, Kinross then, last year's winner. He's just shortening up the whole while. So an alternative view then for Deck, Sam?
Yeah, we'll have that without the favourite market up on site for Declan to be able to play for Muta Sabek. But for me, it's all about Kinross here. I mean, this horse, he's just a brilliant little horse, isn't he? You just got to love the type of horse he is. And I went back through the form because I was a little bit worried that York, on the basis they could get for good to firm ground, but he won this race last year, albeit I think it was a slightly weaker renewal on good to firm. He obviously went stateside at the end of last season and put up a great performance on what would have been proper quick ground, probably the quickest he's ever run on. So if anything, I just thought, well, if the rain comes and it softens up, it's not going to disadvantage him, whereas plenty of those that skipped Newbury last week when the ground ended up that little bit softer actually may be inconvenienced by it. You've got the Frankie factor on board, and I would actually question, I think that 6-4 might end up a little bit shorter. I just think those Saturday multiples will come for Frankie. People want to be involved in him. Rafe Beckett's yard flying at the moment, and I just really struggle to pick holes in him. And I don't like to tip up favourites, but sometimes you go round the houses and just come back to the horse that naturally is rightfully at the head of the market. A bomb-proof is not a word I like to use when talking about horses, but if he runs his race, he should be winning this, really.
I totally agree, because as you say, if he runs his race, he will be winning this. And I completely get your point, Deck, where you say that 6-4 in a deeper race than last year's renewal of this is perhaps on the shorter side. But also, as Sam said there, when you think about the multiples, when we get to the Saturday, the Frankie factor, etc., that may well just shorten up, considering he is just such a solid proposition in a bid to defend his title. And when you think about it, he arguably comes here in even better form than he did last year, because of course in the Lennox last year in the build-up to this race, he got properly goodwooded on that occasion. Rather than this time around, he made it count, he managed to win that. And when you look at last season as well, with the second half of the campaign, just how he took off then, you could arguably say that even more is likely to come for him now for the remainder of the season, now that he is hitting his top gear. So 7 furlong races, they're the most specialist of horses when you have these proper 7 furlong performers, and none come any more specialist than Kinross. Like you say, ground, he's so versatile as well. Frankie Dettori isn't doing too bad, neither is Rafe Beckett.
Right.
So,
you know what could actually be the best bet in this race is over 1.5 mentions of Mark Chan being Frankie Dettori's friend.
I'll say in the preview. Hopefully then in the post-race interview, great to ride a winner for my friend. It is, isn't it? Like I said, we feel like we know the whole dynamic of the whole team now. And hopefully that will come to the fore. I won't mind hearing that mentioned yet again if Kinross manages to get it done. So Sam and I both with Kinross. Deck, just to reiterate.
Muta Sabek for me, please.
Right, that is the City of York Stakes. Again, do let us know your own selections in the comment section below. As we move on to the main event itself up at York, this is the Ebor Heritage Handicap for the 4-year-olds and over a mile 6 at 3:35. Sweet William, he was given the green light by his owner, Philippa Cooper, much to the delight of John and Thady Gosden, as well as anti-post backers, I dare say. He is currently the 100-30 market leader. But Sam, who did you come down on the side of for the Ebor?
Yeah, we've got plenty of liabilities about him at bigger prices, so well done if you got on at double-figure prices pre-Goodwood, where I was there, and he was very impressive to my eye, coming through what was absolutely atrocious conditions. The great thing with him is you know what you're getting. He is an unexposed type that just has continued to improve. Ground conditions won't matter to him. Winner on good to firm at Newbury, winner on on heavy ground. So that ticks that box. The draw was something that initially concerned me. I wasn't so sure I was happy with where he is in terms of that. But 2015 and 2019 renewals were won by single-digit draws, so it's by no means impossible. I do think it makes life a slightly bit harder for him, but you're just going to have to put your faith in Rab Hamlin just doing what he needs to do. I'm not sure this is the strongest of renewals either. I've got one I'm going to play in the long shot, which I'll put up later, but I went through it and I only really got to a short list of about 3 or 4. Usually for a race like this, you'd think you're going to end up with sort of 7 or 8 that you'd really like, and his profile just screams, you know, improver. John Gosden's won the race twice in the last 5 years. 4-year-olds got a very strong record as well. Again, I thought off the top of my head, oh, surely you want something a bit more battle-hardened for this. Not really the case in recent renewals. So he ticks plenty of the boxes. For me, obviously, the £4 well-in is interesting, but I'm just very keen. I know he's a bit of a short price at 130 in a field of this nature, but for me, he just ticks too many boxes to ignore.
Yeah, Sweet William to prove sweet yet again then for Sam. Deck.
I'm just really impressed with Sam only having a short list of 3 or 4. I think I had about 14, to be honest. Yeah, look, I think it's a seriously competitive race. I think Sweet William is obviously the horse to beat. Really likeable profile, top yard. The Goslings have won 2 of the last 10 renewals of this. Massive pedigree as well, you know. And again, he's just like he won so well at Goodwood the last time. Versatile, which in terms of ground and distance as well. The only thing is maybe a potential negative is I didn't see a lot of pace on in this race. And you know, I think we always assume when we see these big, massive field handicaps, oh, everything's going to be strongly run. But I don't think that's the case, and I'm not sure that's going to be the case here. And with that, I was trying to build a case around the front runner Keys Chorister. Now, she started her season last year rated 53 and ended up on 99. She had an unbelievable season. On this day last year, she actually finished second in the Melrose, a race that has worked out really well. She got a bit of an easy lead that day, although she did go a good gallop. But in seeing her in her 4 runs this season, I think she's calmed down a little bit. Her dam used to be quite Kylie strong, and some of the Golden Horn progeny, I think, can be a little bit on their toes. But she looks like she's grown up mentally this season to me. And the other thing as well, I think her campaign is being built around this race. She's had 4 runs, 2 of them over 10 furlongs. That's just clearly not her trip. 2 over 12 furlongs as well, and she's been performing well. But she's stepping back up to 14 here. Course and distance form. She's in good order. David Minussier, the yard maybe had a bit of a quiet July. August has been a little bit better. I just think if they let her alone on the front end, she could be dangerous, and I think she'll definitely outrun the price of about 28, 33 to 1. So yeah, Keys Chorister for me, please, at a very big price.
All right, a very big price, and what a race to play a big price in. But we have finally, all 3 of us, disagreed, and thank goodness it is in the Ebor anyway, because the horse meat, like Sam, you talk about this race maybe not having some of the strength and depth that we've seen of previously. So why not go for the proven, top-rated horse then in the race? Live your dream. Now, of course, I respect Sweet William, where he does the proverbial group horse in a handicap here, but he hasn't escaped anyone's attention on that basis. I still can't get over those quirky little attributes he has had earlier in his career. I know he won easily at Goodwood last time out, but it was still in testing conditions that might just have taken more out of him than we necessarily first thought. So I'm going to take him on at the head of the market here.
He was probably second or third on my list. I just thought at the prices, you know, I fancied Keys Chorister. I like him. He's got a lot of class, doesn't he? Like, he travels through his races for fun. He's actually a horse I could see maybe going well here and maybe ending up in the Melbourne Cup. Might have to go and have a look what price he is for the Melbourne Cup. He has that real kind of strong travelling nature that I think could suit. But yeah, apologies to cut across you, but he was high on my shortlist as well. Although I had 14, like I was saying. So.
On the shortlist of half the field, I would take that as a vote of confidence that he made the cut. Yeah, no, he is though, isn't he? He's a really smart type, of course, trained by Windsor, ridden by Oisin Murphy then here. And he has had that truncated career so far, but rarely has he run a bad race in that. Now, he missed all of last year, but he's returned even better this campaign. Second on his return from a big absence, behind the solid Cumulano Nimbus, whose name I will never get, who's obviously had a great season though. Then third in the blisteringly run Duke of Edinburgh, where he did well, given that he was given the prominent ridden tactics, and he clearly did best of those who were ridden up with the pace as well, behind that frenetic gallop. So he can be marked up for that. And then he got his rewards last time out at Newmarket in a Heritage Handicap, winning it for the second time. £5 prize for that, of course, asks more than of him. But the trip's fine. Big field handicap is absolutely fine for him as well. And he is just a very smart type. So live your dream for me, Sam.
Sweet William to overcome those quirks that you're concerned about, Kate, and give favourite back as a big winner.
OK, then we will see. We will see. Deck.
Yeah, I'm going to take a swing at one here in Keys Chorister, please.
Big price. Right. Again, do let us know your own selections for the Ebor in the comment section below as we head over to the Sky Pad to give you our best bets for the weekend. It's that time where we put the pressure well and truly on our best bets for the weekend. Deck, you're up.
Yes, the nap we have already discussed. It's going to be Deauville Legend at Windsor tomorrow, live on Sky Sports Racing. I just think he's the class horse in the race. We do have to forgive his run last time out in the King George, but it was a very hot contest. Run at a strong gallop. I think the ground was just too soft for him as well. back down in grade, firmer surface at a track he's won at before with first-time cheek pieces. I think Dover Legend will take an awful lot of beating. Now, the next best, we are going to go to Newmarket. It's going to be Diligent Harry. Not a lot of horses in this race are in form, but he's been holding his form really well this season. He's been consistent. He's a forward-going, prominent racer / front-runner. His style is going to be suited to the track. The conditions of the race really suit Les Zoo. She's getting an awful lot of weight, but, you know, she hasn't been in great order this season. She hasn't fired just yet. Like I said, in a race, lacking form horses, Diligent Harry, hopefully can maybe make all or sit on the pace and take an awful lot of beating. The long shot as well, we are going back to the Ebor. Get Shirty, I think, is very, very interesting at a big price. He was 5th in this race last year off 110. And he ran, I think that run can be upgraded. It was quite tactical. Danny Tudhope had to drop him in from a wide draw, and he got a little bit far behind in a tactical race. He's now £9 lower, and it just wouldn't surprise me if this has been the plan all year. I don't see an awful lot of pace in the race. This guy has won big handicaps at Haydock and at Royal Ascot, tracking the leaders. So I'm hoping Danny Tudhope can put him into a more prominent position, sit behind Keys Chorister, and hopefully that'll be the 1-2.
Another nice price horse then in the Ebor for Deck. Sam, your own best bets, please.
Yeah, really big weekend, and I'm going to kick off with my nap heading down to the South Coast, Kate. We're going to Goodwood. Hopefully the weather will be a bit nicer than last time we were there, where the Saturday meeting obviously ended up abandoned. But there's some really competitive racing here, and I've been a bit of a fan of Ollie Sangster since he started training, and he's currently operating at a 40% strike rate from a small sample size, it should be said. But he's got Shawari here, who's unbeaten, and I'm absolutely fascinated to see how the horse goes. One on what I would say a tactical debut with just 5 runners in the field, but that race really is seemingly worked out reasonably well. And then he went to Sandown, and you've got to just base, I guess, around the fact that he's beaten Fallen Angel, who went on to win a Group 3. I really think this horse is potentially going places, and 9-4 I thought was very much nap material down on the coast. Next best is going to be Sweet William. Obviously I've eulogised about this horse probably enough, but I think his chances are clear for all to see, and at around 100 to 30 I think I'll probably go in once more. Best of luck to those that got the fancy prices. I wasn't that clever, but I can't abandon him. I tipped him for Goodwood, and I think he'll go in again and win a big prize, and hopefully reward connections for being convinced to be able to run in a handicap, which very strange that they even had to ask. My long shot, I mentioned obviously my shortlist of around 4 for the Ebor, and Scriptwriter was fairly high up there. Milton Harris, I thought it was really interesting. Obviously, flicking the horse back to the flat made a lot of sense, and last time out against Hamish, he ran him very, very close to getting him beat on the line at York. I think there could be a bit more to come here. Obviously, he was once a rather highly regarded Coolmore inmate, and I think Milton Harris has done well to target this kind of race with him. Whether he's good enough to win or not, I'm not so sure. 5 places on offer, though, 14-1. He kind of was the only thing I had on the agenda for the long shot this week, so he goes in there. I appreciate we've covered the Ebor with a fair few selections, but, you know, who knows? Maybe you want to multi them up, and we'll see if we can hit the TriCast.
He was another one of 14 who made my shortlist.
There we go.
I was just about to say, we're getting up to Deck's shortlist now. We're almost there. But like I say, I mean, it's great that Sweet William is getting the go-ahead, because, as you say, the way that Philippa Cooper was making out that the Ebor made it sound like it was a Palio at this rate. But we have got a fair amount of selections going to the Ebor. But my own best bets for the weekend, a horse that we've talked about plenty already on the show, and that has to be Kinross in the Group 2, City of York at 3 o'clock. Now, he is just the true 7-furlong specialist, as we know. He won this race last year before going on to bring up a 4-timer, including a couple of Group 1s. So this is his time of year to start motoring, and he comes here in an even better prep than last year, as he got the job done in Lennox last time out in good style. He is clearly the one to beat. Now, again, another one then for the Ebor, the horse that I talked about previously, Live Your Dream. Now, this isn't the greatest Ebor we've ever seen, so the top weight should have an even greater chance. Live Your Dream is the class act in his own right. He missed all of 2022, returned in as good form as ever, running a cracker in the Duke of Edinburgh before winning a race he's previously won at Newmarket. I think he's capable of defying the £5 rise. And my long shot, 25-1, the outsider of the field in the Melrose, the 3-year-old's version of the Ebor, that comes up at 2.25 up at York. Now, he just needs this trip badly. He faced a mile 6 for the first and only time in his penultimate start when he finished 5th at Haydock in a good Class 2 handicap. That was a strong 3-year-old handicap running a good time. Now, admittedly, Chile didn't travel overly well in that race. Has to be a concern somewhat when you go to somewhere like York, where rhythm counts for so much at that track, as we know, and just being able to hold your position. But he did get hampered early before staying on in the final furlong. Dropped back in trip last time out off of the same mark again. Became outpaced at a crucial time at Newcastle, but then he rallied, only beaten just under 2 lengths behind some good older horses. Don't think that was a disgrace. £2 lower mark, and I don't think he should be the outsider of the field at 25-1. So that is everything from us. Loads of selections here, there and everywhere for us, and we agree in some parts as well, which is always good to see. But a big thank you, as ever, of course, to Dec and to Sam for all of their hard work. A big thank you to you for watching. Do remember you can catch all of Windsor's action live on Sky Sports Racing. We'll be back at the same time next week, previewing more of the weekend action.